Okay, I am back with another video on some more challenging questions from the recent past papers. This one is November 22, and I think the variant is 1-2. I am on question number 5. There's a question on transformation of functions. Let's look at that. It says the graph with equation y equals to f of x is formed with equation y equals to g of x by a stretch in the x direction with a factor 0.5. That means f of 2x basically, and the graph is going to shrink horizontally and followed by a translation 0 1, which means 1 unit up. And let's say this question says to sketch the graph, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink it and then I'm going to translate it 1 unit up. So first I'm just drawing the shrink for you. That's what it's going to look like, and then I'm going to translate it 1 unit up. So there it goes. And I can erase the red one. Okay, so that's going to be my final answer for this question. That's an easy 3-mark question. Then it says find an expression for g of x in terms of f of x. So I'm just going to say that g of x is basically f of 2x plus 1. That's how you write it in notation form. I always tell my students that the notation form is very important, and you can see there's a direct question on it as well. Moving on, finding some more difficult questions. Okay, let's look at this one. This looks unusual. It's on circular measure and I haven't done a circular measure question. So let's read that. I always tell my students to read this carefully because you see this is not a complete circle, as it's obvious from the diagram as well, but if you're going through it very quickly you would probably ignore that. But it's important to read. RASB is the model of the body of an aircraft. The cross section of consists of a sector OARB of a circle with radius 2.5 with center O, a sector PASB of another circle of center radius 2.4 with center with center P. Okay, so OARB is a circle, so this is a sector and it has a center O, and is another sector with center P. That's also a center for the other circle with center P. Angle AOB is an angle PPB equals to 5 pi over 6 and a quadrilateral OAPB. Where is OAPB? Okay, sorry. Find the perimeter of the cross section RASB. So I'm asking you to find the entire perimeter of the outer boundaries. So I think that's a relatively simple question, giving your answer correct to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to say that the area of large, not the area, sorry, the arc length large would be r theta. Theta in that case would be 2 pi minus 2 pi over 3, and the arc length small would be 2.24 into 5 pi over 6. That's the angle. Since these have to be correct to 2 decimal places, I can give you the final answer correct to 2 decimal places. Let's quickly try to do this. 2 pi minus 2 pi over 3 into 2.5. Let's write some extra decimal places, or let's just write this as 10 pi over 3. When I write my final answer, I'm going to put in 2 decimal places. (28 over 15 pi). So total is 16.3363, so 16.34. correct to 2 decimal places, because that's what the question is asking. Otherwise it's 3 significant figures. That is what something that you should know. Find the difference in the area of the two triangles AOB and APB, giving your answer correct to 2 decimal places. So AOB and APB, and I think the difference is very simple. Half AB, 2.5 into 2.5 into sine of 2 pi over 3 minus half 2.24 into 2.24 into sine of 5 pi over 6. Again, the answer has to be correct to 2 decimal places. I'm going to put this entire thing on a calculator in one go. 2.5 squared sine 2 pi over 3 to minus 2.24 squared to sine 5 pi over 6 by 2. I am getting 1.45. I hope that's the correct answer. Find the area of the cross section RASB, giving an answer correct to 1 decimal place. So I now need to find the area of the entire thing. Okay. So I think they've made the question very easy for me. They've made me find out this area. So what I can do is I can just add the sectors up now. I can say that area of large sector plus area of small sector plus area of difference. So half r square theta is the angle outside again. So 2 pi minus 2 pi over 3. Area of small sector is half r square theta. Plus area of difference, I found that out to be 1.45. So adding all of that together should give me the final answer. I don't know if I made a calculation error. We'll know if I check the answers, but I do have a tendency of making some errors here. So make sure that you check this from the marking scheme. Let me know if I've made an error. So I'm getting 21.11 as my final answer. A relatively easy question. Looked difficult, but it was easy. So that's not a lot of difficult questions here. Then I have October, November 1-1. Let's look at that. All easy questions. I have marked none in this case. Okay, those are 2 questions that I had to do. Let's do them. Okay, this says the function f is defined by f of x equals to 2 minus 3 over 4x minus p, where x is greater than p over 4, where p is a constant. Find f bar of x and hence determine whether f is an increasing function, a decreasing function, or neither. So I will differentiate this first. Find f bar of x. That becomes a 0. And when I differentiate this, the power -1 should come down. 4x minus p power minus 2 into 4. So I get 12 4x minus p squared. So 12 4x minus p squared. So the numerator is positive and the denominator is also positive. Therefore, f bar of x positive, and the function is an increasing function. Okay. Then in the next question, it says, in the next part it says express f inverse of x. Let me just first write down f of x again, so that I don't make a mistake. 2 minus 3 over 4x minus p. 2 minus 3 over 4x minus p. It says write it in this form where a, b, c, d are integers. Okay, so y, so I get 4x minus p equals to 3 over 4x minus p equals to 2 minus y, and then cross multiplying that gives me 3 over 2 minus y, 4x minus p. I can move p to this side, and then divided by 4. So both of these divided by 4. Then what happens is the f inverse of x replaces x, and the y gets changed to x again. So I get p over 4 plus 3 over 4 into 2 minus x. But I see a certain difference here. There's a negative outside, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a negative out common. So this becomes p over 4, and I'll also invert the signs and multiply it. So this would have become 8 minus 4x. Instead, I will write 4x minus 8. So basically A is 4, B is 4, so B is 3, C is 4, and D is 8. Then it says hence state the value of p for which f inverse of x equals to f of x. So what I'm going to do is, this the question is then very simple. It says just write it in this form. So I'm going to write my form again. Now it's very easy to see. You can see this last term, and that p is 8. Therefore it says hence state only, because it's obviously there. Okay, that was the end of that question. Okay, this question is about angles between two tangents. I don't want to go through the entire question, but angle between two lines can be found with the formula as you've learned in class. It's basically tan inverse of a complicated sort of expression. It says m1 minus m2 over 1 plus m1 m2. If you use this, you're going to find the angle between two lines, and that's the easy way of finding it, although there's a more challenging way. You draw triangles and all of those things, and you can still get your answer. Okay, on to this next question. In November 2211, this is question 11. It says the diagram shows a circle with equation x square plus y square equals to 20 tangents touching the circle at points b and c pass through the point A. By letting the equation of the tangent be y equals to mx plus 10, find the two possible values of m. So what I can see is this is more of a question on quadratics than it is on equations of circles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write both equations and then try to solve them simultaneously, basically, and nothing else. So x square plus mx plus 10 whole square equals to 20. So x square plus m square x square plus 20 mx plus 100 equals to 20. So b square minus 4ac is then equals to 0, because that's what happens at tangents. I'm just going to move this to the right hand side a little so that you can see it clearly. So b is 20m whole square, 4 a is 1 plus m square, and c is basically, if I move this to this side, it becomes 80. So that's 80 equals to 0. So 400 m squared minus 320 minus 320 m squared. So I get 80 m squared equals to 320. M squared equals to 4. M is therefore equals to plus and minus 2. So those are the two possible values of M. Find the coordinates of B and C. I think that's the simpler part. Then what you do is you first take M equals to 2. You solve it simultaneously. You're probably going to get the equation of this line. 2x plus 10. You go ahead and solve it simultaneously again. 2x plus 10, because that was the positively sloped line that was going up like that. X square plus y square equals to 20. So I solve this simultaneously again. For x square, 40x plus 100. I think that makes it x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals to 0. And that would give me x plus 4 whole square. So x equals to minus 4, and x equals to minus 4, y equals to 2 times minus 4 plus 10. That's 2. So that's minus 4 comma 2. Those are the coordinates of B. Similarly, I could solve for the coordinates of A. The only difference that I see emerging is that it's going to be the entirely same calculation, just with x square, 5x square, it's 40x minus 40x plus 80. Otherwise the calculations would remain the same, x square minus 8x plus 16. So I get x equals to 4, and then y should equal minus 2 times 4 plus 10. That's 2, 4 comma 2. So that's C. The point D is where the circle crosses the positive x-axis, so that's when y equals to 0. Find the angle BDC in degrees. So I'm looking for the angle BDC. And how many marks is that? It's 3 marks. So I think this distance is easy to calculate. This is minus 4, this is 4. So I get 2 out of this, 8 out of this. And I think I'll have to find the other distances. There's no other shorter way of doing this, and then use cosine rule to find the angle. First find D. That should make the question simpler. So D is basically for D, x square plus y square equals to 20. So x square plus 0 equals to 20, x equals to root of 20. So those are the coordinates of A, D, root 20 comma 0. I go on and find CD. CD is basically, I could also actually use vectors to do this question. That would make the question shorter actually. So you could use either way. I'm not going on and solving all of that. It's a lot of cosine rule calculation and all those things. Let me see if there's a shorter way in the marking scheme, and that should tell us if we are actually opting for the longer way out. No, it says using the cosine rule, or it's just calculating angles in 90 degrees, or using angle at circumference. That would also basically give me sort of the same idea. It's the used property of the circle, but I don't think I'm comfortable doing that. It will essentially be a lot of working the same way. So using the cosine rule, you find CD, you find BD, and then you use the cosine rule on it, something that you've done in O levels, and that should give you the answer. Okay, moving on to the next question then. This is June 2213, and I have to find the values of P, Q, and R. So I know that for the first thing that I can spot from here is my false axis. The false axis is at -2, therefore R should equal -2. So if I've asked you the value of R somewhere, that's -2. Then I see an amplitude, so I see the maximum and minimum points. I also see the distance from the false axis, that's 2 units. That's 3 units, so P is therefore 3. And I see that the curve has been stretched, so that it's now completing a cycle in 4 pi, which means 720 degrees, which means that Q should be 1/2. So all of these are just there for you to state. There are no calculations involved. You don't need to do calculations either. Okay. All of these are not challenging questions. I'm not doing any of these. Okay. This one is a question with on improper integrals. It says the function f is defined by this. Find integrating up to infinity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to integrate this first and then put in the limits and see what happens. -1 divided by -1 into 4, and the limits are infinite, 1 and infinity. Okay, let's first simplify this. This becomes 1 minus 1 over 4x plus 2. That's what I have in the denominator, and the limits are 1 to infinity. So if I have infinity in the denominator, the idea is very simple, that entire fraction is going to basically become 0. So this becomes 0, this becomes plus, and I'll have to calculate this number. 4 plus 2 is 6, and it's 24, so 1/24 is my final answer. And that's all that you need to do in this question. There's nothing else. It's plain simple integration question. Remember that a lot of you get confused with infinity when it's there, but there's nothing to be confused about. And it says the point is moving along the curve y equals to f of x in such a way that it passes through the point A. Its y coordinate is decreasing at the rate, so it's minus k, and its x coordinate is increasing at the rate k units per second. So y was basically 4x plus 2 power minus 2. So I'll have to differentiate this. This is a question on chain rule. What I've told you is that dy over dt is minus k and dx over dt is k. So dy over dx is basically minus 2, 4x plus 2 minus 3 into 4. So that's minus 8, 4x plus 2 power minus 3. Now I can break down this differential into its chain rule, such that the numerator also has a dt and the denominator also has a dt. So that is what I then have. It says when it passes through the point A. So I'm looking at the point A. What is the point A? Okay, that's what I have to find. Okay, let's see. So that's minus k over k equals to minus 8 over 4x plus 2 power minus 3. Cancelling this, I think the question is simpler from here. Oh, that's a positive power there. So the negatives cancel out. 4x plus 2 cubed. Taking a root, cube root. So cube root of 8 is 2. So you get 4x plus 2 is cube root of x equals to 0. And when you plug in x equals to 0, you get y equals to I'm a little skeptical about the 0, but let's check. I hope I have done everything correctly. Okay, let me just open up the marking scheme and check. Yeah, that's the correct answer. Okay, moving on. This question is not difficult. It's a simple question on quadratics. I think I haven't marked any questions from here, so I'm going to do them spontaneously. There's a single point P on the curve such that is a tangent to the curve. So tangent simply means that you solve them simultaneously and say that b square minus 4ac is equals to 0. Okay, on to the next paper. It's May June 2212. Let's see what interesting questions are there. I think this is a fairly simple question that is again not something very challenging. Again, a reasonable question. This is also fairly simple. I think this is also fairly simple. If it tells you the x coordinates, you see that there are two solutions. You could just solve simultaneously, plug in the two solutions, you'll get two equations in a and k, and you can get your answers from there. This is you can do this with quadratics, I think, or you can also do this with differentiation. This is also a fairly easy question, nothing very complicated about it. It gives you a disguised equation. The equation of this, the points a comma b and b are lie on the circle. Find the values of a and b, and hence find the coordinates of the center of the circle. So again, I can solve them simultaneously, just plug in the numbers and then sort of bring the equation to the completed square form, and that should help you solve it. Find the equation of the tangent to the circle at the point A, giving your answer in the form px plus qy equals to k. The tangent to the circle is an easy job. Once you have the center and the radius and the point of tangency, you can just use the properties of circles to do that. Again, an easy question there as well. Okay, let's talk about this one. It bothers a lot of people, so let's just do this. It says functions f and g are defined as follows. F of x is given as 2x plus 1 and g of x is given as x squared plus 4. The diagram shows part of the curve y equals to f of x. State the domain of f inverse. So the domain of f inverse is the range of the original function. So let's talk about the range of f of x. You see, f of x is taking on all the values except there's a particular value that's not taking. So that's the value that's not taking. What is that value? That value is y equals to 1. So the range of f of x is all values except y equals to 1. So therefore the domain of f inverse will be all values except x equals to 1. So that's the value that's not going to take. So it takes on all values except that. Find an expression for f inverse of x. I think that's fairly simple. You make x the subject, so 2x minus y 1 into y. That's very few lines. Gathering the x terms on one side. So f inverse of x is 1 plus x over 2x minus 2. Then it says find g f inverse of 3. So I take f inverse of 3 first. Whatever value I get. 4 over 4 is 1. So g of 1 is basically 1 squared plus 4, which is 5. Explain why g inverse cannot be found, because it's not 1 to 1. I'm not even looking at the details. It's not 1 to 1. That's the simple idea that I have. Show that this can be written as this. So I just take this 2x minus 1 and I write 2x minus 1 plus 2. So that gives me 2x plus 1 over 2x minus 1. I've taken a common denominator basically. Hence find the area of the triangle enclosed by the tangent to the curve y equals to f of x at the point where x equals to 1. So I have to work on a tangent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to differentiate this. Now the reason why the question got you to do this expression is because you cannot differentiate this right now if you are in your AS level. There is a rule for that in A2, or if you've done AdMath there is a rule, but you can't use that in AS. That's why the question is asking you to go down a particular road. So that's why I haven't differentiated that. So let's just write y. So dy by dx gives me 0, and since I'm differentiating this becomes minus 2 into 2, so that gives me minus 4 over 2x minus 1 squared, and then at the point where x equals to 1, it's minus 4. So I need the equation of the tangent now. Let's first find the y coordinate. The y coordinate is going to be 2 times 1 plus 1, 2 times 1 minus 1. That gives me 3 over 1, which is 3. Y minus y1, mx minus x1. Okay, finding the x and y intercept. So the y intercept is basically 0, 7, and the x intercept is 7 over 4, 0. So it's going to create a triangle like this. It's going to be 7 over 4, that's going to be 7, so half base into height, so that's 49 over 8. I hope that's the correct answer. So 22, 1, 2, and this is question number 11, 10, I think. 10. Yep, that's the correct answer. That sounds like a fairly easy question. Okay, that's where the confusion is. Let's quickly then do both parts. The function f is given by 4 cos pi over 4x plus cos square x minus k when k equals to 3. So A is 4, b is 1, c is minus 3. So b square minus 4ac, sorry, abc. So I'm just solving quadratic then. B square minus 4ac is for the next part actually. That's right. 4, 1 and minus 3. So cos square x is therefore 3 over 4 and cos square x is minus 1. So that's not possible because the square cannot be negative. So I'm just going to use this and have two possibilities. One is going to be, if you put a root, it becomes root 3 over 2 and the other becomes minus root 3 over 2. So I get quadrant 1 and quadrant 4, and I get quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. Cos inverse of root 3 over 2 is basically pi over 3. So I have four answers. Quadrant 1 is pi over 3. Quadrant 4 is 2 pi minus pi over 3. Quadrant 2 is pi minus pi over 3. And quadrant 3 is pi plus pi over 3. So those are the four answers that I have. I should simplify them and add them up. But my objective is to do question number, the part B. It says use the quadratic formula to show that when k is greater than 5, the equation f of x equals to 0 has no solutions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I'm going to write this. Okay, equals to 0. So when it has no solution, typically what we say is that the quadratic should, be b square minus 4ac less than 0. But you see, this is not a simple quadratic equation, it's a trigonometric equation. The first thing that I wanted to notice is that even if I solve the quadratic, I get answers for cos square x. Now the question is saying use the quadratic formula, so I should do that. I should use the quadratic formula and I should say that basically cos square x should be minus b plus minus root of b square minus 4ac over 2a. So I can get minus 1 plus minus 1 plus 16k over 8. Now I don't really have to simply say that b square minus 4ac is just less than 0. Yes, if it was less than 0, you would get no solutions. But there are other possibilities inside this as well. The first thing that I can then point out to you is that this cos square x, this entire thing can also not be negative. So it has no solutions when it is negative. The other thing that it cannot be is that since cos fluctuates between minus 1 and 1, remember that cos square x also has to be less than 1. And the other thing that it has to be is greater than 0. Why? Because it can also not be negative. So those are the limitations for cos square x. If you imagine, it has to be less than 1 and it has to be greater than 0. So basically what I have is I have two restrictions on this entire thing. Now the first thing that I would go on and discard in this situation is this minus 1 minus root of 1 plus 16k. If you remember from the previous part, another number got discarded and that was the number that was getting discarded with a negative 1. Why? Because it's going to give me a very big negative number, and I know that I don't need a very big negative number in any case. If both those terms are negative, the entire thing would be negative and cos square x would be negative, so therefore this gets discarded. What I then have is this. So I'm going to say that if this was greater than 1, then it would have no solutions. I'm not asking you for the possibility of having solutions, I'm saying the possibility of having no solutions. I can cross multiply 8 and I'm left with 1 plus 16k in the root greater than 9. So 1 plus 16k is greater than 81. When I square both sides, 16k is greater than 80, k is greater than 5. So that's the correct solution for this question. Okay, this next question is a trigonometric identity. Let's try to do that. This looks like a challenging question because it's for 4 marks. Typically, I would start with the right hand side and say that that's where the identity is tan square theta when I should apply this. But this looks like a very complicated side, and I'll find it very difficult to break out the fractions from there. So what I start off with is, as doing this, I am going to say that I'm going to take a common denominator. I'm going to say that sine theta minus 1 or into 1 plus sine theta, and then I'm then going to try to compress it into that form. So sine cube theta into 1 plus sine theta, and sine square theta into sine theta minus 1. So this becomes sine cube theta plus sine power 4 theta minus sine cube theta plus sine square theta. In the denominator, I have sine theta plus sine square theta minus 1 minus sine theta. So that gets cancelled out. That also gets cancelled out. So it's a relatively simple identity from there. It's sine power 4 theta plus sine squared theta. And it's sine square theta minus 1. So that should equal minus cos square theta in the denominator. It's the reverse of cos square theta. And I can figure out sine square theta from here. And I get sine square theta plus 1. That gives me minus tan squared theta into 1 plus sine squared theta. So that was a relatively challenging identity. Had you started from the right hand side, you would probably have gotten stuck. And then this, I think, is fairly simple. You just have to solve the equation. This is also not a difficult question. I think you should attempt this yourself. You will find basic trigonometry there. Now this is a question that will bother a lot of people because it goes on to calculate the range. So let's try to do that. Find an expression for f inverse of x. So I'm going to say that y cross multiplying, gathering x terms, okay, and then taking the root. Then says show that 1 minus 8 over x square plus 4 can be expressed as this, and hence state the range of f. So just proving. So you get x square minus 4 over x square plus 4. Now when I want to determine the range, there are two ways of thinking about this. One way of thinking about this is that you see x is greater than 2. So since rational functions go down sloping like that, or when they have a negative sign to them, they go on and do something like that. So they either have a maximum value or a minimum value. So what I can do is I can think about the equation of the curve and say that what I can see is that there is a fraction involved and there is a number involved. So in that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about what happens when I put in values of x. When I put in values of x, I need to put in values x greater than 2. So when I put in values greater than 2, the value of this denominator keeps on increasing. When the value of this denominator keeps on increasing, a fraction keeps getting subtracted from 1. How large can this fraction be? I can say that this fraction can actually go down to 0 when the denominator becomes very large. So this function can have a maximum value of 1. Okay, this function can have a maximum value of 1. How? That's the upper limit of this function, that it can go up to 1 and it cannot cross 1. Where does this function start? I can say that I can just plug in 2 into the question and say that this function starts at 0. So the values of y are between 0 and 1. That is why analyzing the function. The other way of thinking about such questions is that you should remember what 1 over x squared looks like. Then what I see is that there are two different transformations that had happened, plus 4 and 8 on the original function. So they've not caused any changes in the value of the vertical. The range will not have changed. Right now the range is y is greater than 0, so that isn't changed. But when you put a minus, this curve essentially becomes something like this. The minus 1 over x squared looks like that. So it then has a maximum value of 0, and when I move it 1 unit up, it goes something like this. So the asymptote moves at 1. Now it's when I plug in x equals to 2, it starts off at 0, so the only part of the function that remains is this. That's the part of the function that remains. So what are possible values are there? Greater than 0 and less than 1. These rational functions are often difficult when you are trying to find the range. So you have to think about graphs, you have to analyze the function and so on. This is explains why the composite FF cannot be formed, because we've studied that the range of the second function must fit into the domain of the first function. The range of the second function is 0 to 1. The domain of the first is so does not fit. Okay, so this looks like a challenging question. It says the curve y equals to sine x is transformed to the curve y equals to 4 sine half x minus 30. Describe fully a sequence of transformations that have been combined, making clear the order in which the transformations are applied. Remember that there are two transformations in x. You always state the transformations in x first, then you state the transformations in y. When you are stating the transformations in x, the simple idea is that you state the translation first. So it's a translation 30 degrees to the right, or with vector 30, 0, followed by a horizontal stretch of factor 2, followed by a vertical stretch of factor 4. Okay, then this is easy to solve and not going on and solving that. This is also fairly simple. Again, on something on quadratics. Okay, that brings us to the end of June 22. That is the end of challenging questions part 2. What I've done is I've solved all the papers with challenging questions from November, from the 22 series, both November and June, and March 2023. So make sure you like and subscribe for further updates. Thank you.